What is up, guys? It is Stu, and it is another episode of the What the Fuck Gym Talk podcast. I don't know. This is just as much maybe like business, like you would normally come to expect, as respect the tempo. You guys know I have my different segments. Like sometimes I'm talking gym real estate company. Sometimes I'm talking respect the tempo. Sometimes I'm talking the business of fitness. And this one is, I think it's a little bit of both. On the respect the tempo side of my interest in fitness, and then the WTF side, my interest in business. We're talking about Hyrox. If you listen to the last few interviews I've done, I did Shane Farmer, Jason Khalipa, who else? I had someone else on the podcast, and like back to back, it was all within one day, I brought up Hyrox. Now, if you're not sure what it is, don't worry, you and me are the same person. I had literally no idea what this was prior to maybe about, 3 weeks ago. And then I went down a rabbit hole because my amazement and interest in it was purely just fascination. My business mind, my brain was just churning. So for those of you unfamiliar, and I'm going to go ahead and if you guys are watching this at home, right? Like you're watching this on the old YouTubes, you're going to get to see some of this. This is a video episode. But any of you guys audibly, I'll make sure to I'll bring up the speed here. But if you're watching at home, this will make a little bit more sense. All right, so Hyrox. For those of you guys not familiar, Hyrox is essentially it's the fitness race. It is 100% born out of CrossFit. It started over in Germany. A guy named Christian Totetsky. Yeah, I think I'm fucking that up. Anyway, he has created other like sporting groups, events. Like his history is creating these things over in Germany, definitely around more triathletes, cycling, running type events. But then it looks like in 2017 is when him and another guy, Mortiz, who is a German two-time Olympic gold medal hockey player, they created Hyrox, a global fitness race that combines functional exercise with endurance. So I hear about Hyrox, I go down the rabbit hole, and I'm like, oh, this is just like, some company trying to do like shitty CrossFit workouts. So I start looking into it. And what I come upon is something that just makes perfect sense to me, especially at this point in my life where I'm training for the 2023 Chicago Marathon. I have immersed myself in this endurance community with everything I'm doing over on the Respect the Tempo side. And I'm like, holy shit. This is genius. So I want to talk about the business case of this whole thing and talk with you guys about it, because I think for some of you, for the gym owners, there is a huge fucking nugget here that I want to talk about. And for those of you on the fitness side, maybe you're more into, the programming and training and the endurance side of this whole Hyrox thing, I've got some thoughts for you as well. But think about this. The most popular, ESPN, the Ocho level sport we have, right? Like an obscure sport is CrossFit. It's probably the most successful obscure sport in terms of like mass adoption, the creation of facilities for training for this across the world. CrossFit's done it better than anybody. However, CrossFit is still a ridiculously intimidating sport. It's an intimidating fitness methodology for opening up a gym where you're going to try to sell that idea to 40-year-old Sally. Like, the idea of it is insane. It truly is. Like, when you really think of it, be like, go into Google, put in CrossFit, go to images, take a look at the first 50 images, and then say, I have to sell this to Sally, who's 40 pounds overweight and is a mother of two with a husband who kind of likes her, right? Like, whatever. Like, it's literally, that's it. That's who you have to sell this to. So it's a crazy idea. However, even at the sport level, let's just take out all the gem pop, like all the regular people doing CrossFit. Even at a sport level, if you were an athletic person, you played football in college, you've done triathlons, you're a competitive rock climber, for you to look at the sport of CrossFit, it is insanely competitive. Like, it's insanely intimidating because there's so many modalities in it. You have to be like world-class Olympic weightlifting strong, and you have to have this level of muscular endurance at a body weight level that is just unfathomable. It's crazy, right? Like, those athletes are superhuman in my opinion. So think about it. What about for the athletic people that are truly athletic, but they don't really fall into that CrossFit niche? They don't want to deadlift the heaviest or snatch the heaviest. They don't want to be able to have, 20 unbroken muscle up, whatever. There's nowhere for them to go. So where for them to go is just to play in the CrossFit gyms like normal people. But for those people who are truly competitive, and I feel like, I use the term athlete. I never use it like with members. I don't like the term athlete in lieu of member at a gym setting. I will use the term athlete independently, like kind of depending on the situation. Like, if you're training for something, a race or an event, you're definitely an athlete. But I generally think of athlete as a profession. My general definition of athlete is you get paid to participate in a sport. Now, I think you can dial that down to like, if you do, 10 marathons a year and you train for those, you're definitely athletic and you're an athlete and you are participating in sport. There's just not the paid spot. Just right. Like if you're 15 years old and you're playing high school, you're not getting paid, you're still an athlete. So I understand the nuance of that. Just for operational definitions, I typically hate the use of athlete in the membership setting. Everywhere else, it's whatever. So like I don't consider myself an athlete because I'm training for the Chicago Marathon. I'm athletic. I don't even consider myself a runner. Girlfriends guys are like, oh, you're a runner now. Because her and her family are huge endurance athletes. So you're a runner. I'm like, no, I'm fucking running. Runner is an identity. It's a noun. I'm not a fucking runner. I am just running during this period of my athletic, fitness career. It just so happens to be the flavor of the year for right now. But I am not a runner. And I think that's another thing too. We get into the business side of this whole thing. CrossFit gyms, you try to convert. Oh, he's a runner. Don't worry, I'll make him a CrossFitter. Fuck that, man. Let him be a fucking runner. Let him keep his identity and just pay you to supplement his running for his runner identity. Because I'm trying to change that shit. All right, back to Hyrox. So I see this and I'm like, okay, CrossFit's a bad sport business model because it's the top of the top of the top of the top. From a mass adaptation kind of scenario, like participating, it won't be able to go there. And I don't think it wants to go there, right? I don't think that's its goal. But look at something like the Boston Marathon, the Chicago Marathon, the Houston Marathon, the marathon in whatever shit city you fucking live in the United States. I don't care. I promise you. There are a ton of people there. Some that are taking it uber competitive. Others that are just there to walk it and survive. So there's no other, like from a sport perspective, from a sports model, there's been no other better broad generalization, everyone can participate sport than running. And the marathon, the half marathon, the 5Ks, 10Ks, all those different distances. There's nothing else out there. And running is the number one most popular fitness methodology in the world. And you can't argue that. There's no you have an opinion. No, you don't have an opinion, motherfucker. Like running is it. There is nothing more popular across the world from a fitness participation than running. So from that perspective, you start looking at Hyrox and what these guys have created. Now, let me shed some light on this. Hyrox is as if CrossFit and the endurance community, the marathon racing, the half marathon racing community had a baby, okay? Hyrox events are this same event every single time. Every time it is the same exact fitness event, which makes it predictable, which is one of the reasons runners like it so much. Every marathon is 26.2 miles. No matter what, it is 26.2 miles. And that predictability allows them to train in a very specific way and allows them to know, this course is hilly or this course is flat or the weather or that time of the year sucks. But so there's very few variables minus course routes and weather that are going to fuck with them. And I'm not gonna lie, I've been spending a lot of time talking and working with endurance people, endurance coaches, endurance athletes. They don't like a lot of volatility in their events. I think one of the things that separates the CrossFit athlete and the endurance athlete currently between the sports of let's just say triathlons and marathons and CrossFit events. CrossFitters obviously embrace the unknown and the unknowable. They like that you can't really prepare for it. You can do the things historically you've had to do in the past, but you're always going to get something random thrown at you. And whereas that endurance community does not like the surprises. They hey, this is this, and I know I take my gel at mile 10 and blah, blah. They don't like that. So, the two things, again, those two worlds were never gonna meet. But then Hyrox shows up. And I think Hyrox saw this opportunity. So this is the Hyrox race, okay? It is the same fucking race every time, everywhere. The loads are different. Let me pull this up here. Here we go. So a Hyrox race starts with a 1 kilometer run, followed by 1,000 meter ski erg, followed by another 1 kilometer run. Then you're gonna do a 50 meter sled push. Now that sled push, I wanna clarify this. That sled push is no joke. So that sled push is going to be, for the men, is going to be 152 kilograms, including the sled. So 152 times 2.2, that is 334 pounds, including the weight of the sled. So I think it comes out to like close to 400 some pounds, all right, if I'm not mistaken, all right? So you have a 400, close to 400 pound sled push for 50 meters. Right? Then you return to another 1 kilometer run, and then you have a 50 meter sled pull. All right. Now this is at 103 kilograms, so multiply that by 2.2, and that's gonna be about 225 pounds plus the weight of the sled. Okay, so you've now got to pull it. That pulls like on a rope. The rope's got like, I think it's a 1.5 inch diameter, kind of like a standard rope, like if you do rope climbs at a CrossFit gym, similar rope. Then you run another 1 kilometer, and then you're gonna do an 80 meter burpee broad jump. So you have to burpee broad jump for 80 meters, then you'll run another kilometer. Then you're gonna do a 1,000 meter row, followed by another kilometer run, followed by a 200 meter farmer's carry at 24 kilograms. So that's gonna be the 70 pounders. And then we're going to another 1 kilometer run. Then you're gonna do a 100 meter sandbag lunge at 60 pounds, I think it's 20 kilometers, 2.2, yeah. So that's 45. Oh no, I'm giving you guys the wrong, I'm giving you the regular men's weights. Okay, these are all the weights for the regular men. Okay, so a 45 pound sandbag lunge, and then another 1 kilometer run, and then 100 wall balls at 18 pounds, I think. 6 times 2.2. All right, 13 pounds. Okay, that's for the regular men. And I apologize. I just gave you all the fucking pussy weights. I gave you all the pussy weights. For the pro, though, like the ones like the actual pro series, like the real weights. Here's the ones I wanted you. This is just for the men. I don't know the women's real quick. You can go look them up. I'm just giving you the men's. The men's is a 202 kilogram. So that's a 445 pound sled plus the sled weight. So it's 445 pounds on the sled plus the sled weight for 50 meters. On that sled pull, that's going to come out to be 335 pounds for that sled pull. It's an 80 meter burpee broad jump. The farmer's carry with the 32 kilograms, so the 70s. And then what do we got here? Let's see. The sandbag lunge was 60 pounds, or 65 pounds, so 30 kilograms, okay? And then the wall balls with the 20-pound wall ball. But that, I mean, so on the pro level, like you go there, do you want to be like, again, you want to be like a true competitor there? Those weights on the sled push and pull are fucking legit. And I push and pull a lot of sleds. I actually went and bought a rope specifically to start incorporating these rope pulls into my workouts because I'm like, my God, like I love pushing a sled. But from an upper body perspective, I can row it with handles or I can press it on the vertical pipe handles on the sled, but I can't create constant time under tension with it like I can pushing it. When you push it, one leg is always working. Well, attach a long rope to it and pull it and make it heavy as fuck, then you have constant time under tension. So for my respect, the tempo training purposes, that's been a great addition and I've really enjoyed that. Thank you, Hyrox, for reminding me of that option. But this is legit. So it's 8 kilometers of total running and 8 of these fitness events. And I think the current world record right now is held by Hunter McIntyre. He's like an obstacle course racing guy. He did CrossFit for a minute, and he's got the world record, I think, at like sub 60 minutes. It's like 55 minutes or something to complete this. But so that's the event. So the event's like, it's definitely endurance based, like 8 kilometers of running, like those 1K runs in between each station. I don't know what the times are that people are holding like mile pace on those, but and it's all, it's all inside. This is all inside. So there's like a whole, like there's a course set up, but you are running inside of a giant convention center. And the nice thing about that, it's always indoors, right? So there's never weather issues. It's always the same exact, feet. So it's never like, surprising you. I can see why this is going to be bigger than CrossFit. I truly do. I truly believe this is going to take off and be far bigger in utilization, actual utility, people using it, people participating than CrossFit. Because again, CrossFit's too much tip of the spear. It's too much. You've got to be a fucking Avenger to do CrossFit. And again, my mom does CrossFit in Louisiana and she loves it. Like, I'm not talking about your mom doing fucking 4 p.m. class. I'm talking about competing like a fucking professional. And that's the other thing too. The number of people like, well, I compete in CrossFit. Like, no, bro, you do a weekend throwdown with the other bottom 10% of CrossFitters in your state, and you never are going to get paid professionally. Which, no, like, it's not a problem. Just like, can we separate the two? When people talk about it, just like, know when you're having a conversation with people, because I'm normally talking about the sport, and then someone's like, yeah, man, I did this event the other weekend, and we had to do handstand push-ups into fucking, one-arm walks. I had to go punch my mom in the face, and like, it was just crazy. It was 4 rounds for time. It's like, bro, I'm not talking like, no, not that amateur fucking rate shit. No offense, you're fit as hell, you look great, bro, but no, I'm talking about the sport, the professional sport. Well, this here I think way more people will try to quote unquote become professional or chase higher pursuits here because it is more of an endurance-based thing. Like, if I was thinking about money, so I went and ran the numbers on this. I went and asked the Google machine how many people compete in Hyrox, and it's 3,000 athletes is the cap. And right now they're charging $170 per entry level, okay? They have like doubles, like you do a doubles competition, but 170 times 3,000. So they're doing about a little over $500,000 in revenue per event. I doubt there's much margin. Like, after they rent the convention center and they pay all the volunteers, or, I don't know, they're probably not even volunteers, pay those people, all the marketing, all that, they're losing money, guaranteed, okay? Now, they also charge the spectators, and I think they say something like they allow 2,500 spectators in there, and I think they're charging like, $20 for spectators, right? So even if you add another 50 grand of revenue off spectators and things like that, they're losing money at these events, just like the CrossFit Games lose money at their events. That's not their revenue generator. However, these events, I believe, have the ability to get large because I know the participation at marathons. Go to your local city's marathon, even if it's not one of the big ones. And like one of the big, the marathons, the Bostons, the Chicagos, the Atlantas, whatever. I get a lot of people turn out for these races. So the Chicago Marathon, the one that I'm running in, is going to have 45,000 participants. Okay? Now, someone told me calculate a minimum of 4 people per participant. So that would be, again, you're talking over 200,000 spectators for this event. That is probably way, way, way more than that. 4 is probably, now that I think about it, yeah, he was high. There's no fucking way. It's got to be way more than 4 spectators per participant. But even if it was 200,000 people spectating, watching people run, just watching them fucking run. And even if you go there to watch somebody, you ever watch someone in a marathon, you're standing on the side and your person that you're watching runs by for all of 4 seconds. And now you've got to like run to another part of the course, hop on a Lime scooter. Hopefully you're going to beat them there and weave in and out of the fucking traffic. It's just crazy. Like, it's a horrible spectator sport, yet more people come out for that than anything else. That's it. Like, more people come out for those events, the big marathons, and even like your small local ones, but like more people come out for that than anything else. More than your kids' high school Friday Night Lights football game, more than CrossFit games, more than a professional NBA games. Like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And again, because running to a spectator provides motivation. That is achievable. I can walk it. I can jog it. I can jog it faster. I could then run it. I could then run it faster. I could then race it. Like, it's there. It's reachable. CrossFit, not so much. This Hyrox thing, way closer. So if like running a marathon as far as accessibility is here and CrossFit's up here, this Hyrox is in the middle, leaning more towards that marathon. And here's my thoughts. I think this, Hyrox, the World Series of Fitness as they call it, or the Ultimate Fitness Race, I think all the different camps, the CrossFits, the Hyrox, Deka is another one. I don't know as much about it. That's the one that's owned by Spartan. Similar idea. I think it's far more like speed-based. I don't know if it's as long of an event. Hyrox is like around an hour, where Deka is, I think Deka's closer to whatever the fuck it is. I don't know, it's less. I think it's less than an hour. So anyway, I don't know too much, and I'm sure other events are gonna pop up like this. But again, from a business perspective, from gym owners, let's think about this, right? We wanna get people fit. Right? Now, unless we really, really, really want to niche into one particular kind of person, which is a solid business strategy, we have to accept that, in order to do that, we have to create a much more inclusive model. If you're not looking to super niche in, then you have to be pretty inclusive, right? Think of like what Planet Fitness has done. So and again, I think it's always bad, I don't want to be the Planet Fitness of, Planet Fitness makes a fuck ton of money. Show me one, if you know anybody who owns Planet Fitness franchisees or franchise locations, they're a franchisee of Planet Fitness, they're driving multiple better cars than you, okay? They're doing very, very fucking well, okay? So I hate this, I don't want to be the Planet Fitness of, I'm like, you don't want to be uber successful at a ridiculously high profit margin for the brick and mortar fitness industry? I get like that's maybe not the kind of fitness you want to deliver, but let's not bash Planet Fitness because it's $10 a month and it's a purple, it's okay for that group of people Globo Gym. I cannot stand the bashing of Planet Fitness. It doesn't make any sense to me. But if you want to be more inclusive, you got to think like what Hyrox is thinking. And this is where I made a podcast the other day. Hey, go back and listen to it. I'm not going to repeat the whole thing here. It's just, if I could do it over again, I would have tapped into the endurance community more. I would have found the running clubs. I would have gone after run clubs, running companies that hosted runs. I would have became more involved in that scene with my brand because they're way easier. They're literally just like a few notches away from wanting to do functional fitness. Just a few. Whereas if you're chasing 40-pound overweight Sally who's still on the couch, that's a lot more difficult. That's a much harder sell. When you're trying to sell, I'd never try to sell anyone off the couch. If they're on the couch, leave them on the couch. You know who needs to sell them first? The sidewalk. The fucking sidewalk. Yeah, that person needs to just walk around their neighborhood in public and sweat in public and walk around until they lose some weight and they get that ball rolling, and then they need to join the Planet Fitness and they need to go there for a year or two and lose 100 pounds, and then maybe Orange Theory or some other entry level, Start My Fitness type micro gym, and then let them make their way to your more functional fitness, Evolve My Fitness micro gym. That's that. But for everyone else, if you're a runner, you're already fit in that endurance capacity. There's so many outside factors telling you to do strength training. There's so many influencers in the endurance space telling you to do strength training that getting them to step over the line and join your gym for 2 to 3 classes a week is not a difficult feat. So anyway, I look in here at Hyrox and I'm just kind of blown away by fuck, why didn't CrossFit think of this? Right? Why isn't there if you remember in the early days of CrossFit had all these CrossFit blank SMEs. There was CrossFit Endurance, CrossFit Football, which was essentially like power building, real explosive heavy lifts, shorter explosive metcons. There was CrossFit Strongman with Rob Orlando, CrossFit Powerlifting maybe at the time. There was a CrossFit, add another niche. Why can't CrossFit, or why wouldn't CrossFit want to have a CrossFit endurance event where there's the CrossFit Games and then there's CrossFit Endurance, which is some version of a triathlon with functional fitness mixed in on it. They could do that in a heartbeat. Now, again, they might not want to. They might go against the doctorate and they just want the tip of the spear, which is fine. So if that's the case, then I think brands like Hyrox and Deka will do really well to fill that gap. I think if CrossFit wanted to kind of step on their dicks, they could open that up instantly and create something like that. but they'd have to really embrace those SMEs again. If you know the history, CrossFit really embraced its SMEs early on and then kicked them all out. Under the Glassman regime, you know, you started getting too big and then boom, you were gone. So that's just unfortunately historically how that went. So I think under new ownership, new CEO, I think maybe they might bring that back, like at least association with SMEs in that regard, which would be great. But yeah, I just looking at this and my business brain is just, you know, turning, right? So I'm just like, you know, if I'm a gym owner, I'm looking at this and like the endurance community is a viable avatar population. They spend money on fitness. I know you don't think runners spend any money. They do. Trust me. Runs, bibs, gels, packs, this, that, fucking. There's a lot of accessories. Garmin's, fucking heart rate monitor, like heart straps. There's a lot of accessories you get into with endurance. They're not cheap. They're not broke. Okay? Even though it's the poorest method of fitness in the world that anybody can do, runners who participate in running are not broke people. They have the money that I would think would align with the required disposable income to join your $200 a month gym. So I would be pursuing them. Now, me on the Respect the Tempo, like this whole strength endurance thing, I'm really pushing on those channels over there. I fucking love it because I believe strength endurance is this area that has previously not been focused on, and now it is. Now, this Hyrox event, when we look at it, the only things that are strength-based here is the sled push and the sled pull, and they are heavy. I've loaded both those weights up. You know, that sled push is, you know, if you push sleds a lot, it's not that big of a deal. So that was not surprising to me at all. The sled pull, though, I haven't pulled a sled like standing, hand over hand pulling, and you know, it eventually kind of turns into like a deadlift per se. It becomes a big hinging motion when you completely run out of steam. I haven't done that in, I don't know, forever. So that's very heavy. So you look at like even the bodies, if you go look at Hyrox, they've got a cool documentary. It's on YouTube. They created it. But if you go look at that documentary, look at the bodies of the people who win Hyrox, like take Hunter McIntyre out of the equation, they look skinny fat. Like most of the participants are that skinny fat endurance runner body type. I love that they put these feats of strength in here. I wish there was a little bit more strength in here because I really think a strength endurance is the ability to perform feats of strength at high fatigue for long duration. And there's really nothing else in here. The wall balls, doing 100 of anything isn't heavy. The burpee broad jump, the ski erg, the rowing. So it's a bunch of ergs, even the farmers carry. If you watch the really strong guys in Hyrox, they run. Like I would. If you told me I had to go 200 meters with a pair of 70-pound kettlebells, I would be, you know, that it's that mix between like speed walking and jogging, right? Like I don't have to just stand there and walk stoically with these. This is light enough that I can fucking jog with it essentially, or, you know, speed walk with the damn thing and have some more flexion at the knees, and I'm, you know, got one of those things going on. The kettlebell's banging up against the side of your legs, all that fun shit. So, you know, I would love if even the 100-meter sandbag lunge. That's a 65-pound sandbag. You know, that's not heavy weight, right? For someone who's strong, they fucking can do 100 meters with 3 times that weight. So I would love if this was stronger. I don't think they're going to change it. I think that's kind of the thing when they made this doctrine, like, hey, it's the same event every time. I don't know whether they ever change it. Maybe they adjust the weights and get them heavier and heavier over time. Because I think like what CrossFit found that, you know, the workouts in 2007, 8, and 9 were fucking warm-ups in 2012, 13, 14. So a very short period of time, and the workouts are obsolete. The loads are obsolete. They have to go heavier and heavier. So, you know, Hyrox is, you know, if they're kind of be like, well, this is the thing. It's always this thing. You know, I think it's fine. I just don't think it'll ever, you know, there's going to be a certain point where it's no longer going to look strength-based. And I think the body type of the endurance athlete is going to change. I believe the body type is going to train the more, you know, this strength endurance physique, where you look like you do some version of bodybuilding and weightlifting, but you have great ability to endure and have great aerobic capacity and lactate threshold. And I think you're going to see the endurance community just over time run. They're not running to strength training right now. 20% of them have walked to strength training. But I think over time, Hyrox and the body types And like, you know, even like when I showed up, when I did the 5K at the Charlotte Marathon, I took my shirt off for a second to change shirts. I got all sweaty in my first one I was warming up in. And like, there's other guys doing the same thing. And you look around and like very, very, very few people at the starting line have physiques that look strong. There are some, like more people are getting there, but we're still the minority. I think that's going to change over a 10-year period. I think things like Hyrox are going to help. Hopefully the conversations I'm having with intra-session concurrent training over with respect to tempo are helping. I think CrossFit will continue to help. But anyway, I found this thing and I was blown away by it. I was just like, this is genius. This is going to do well. I'm excited for this to do well. I've never been to an event. I've never been to a CrossFit Games event either. But this is one I would probably go to just to get an eye on the people. I want to see these people. I want to get a feel for this demographic. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll go to this one here in Chicago in a couple weeks. We'll see. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you today. Thank you for participating and listening. If you're watching on YouTube, rock on. Thank you so much. Until I talk to you in the next podcast, have a great fucking day.